At the start of this movie, we see a kid named Frank. Frank is a very intelligent kid. Frank has made a jetpack at a very young age, and now he came to New York to sail in a festival. But his jetpack is rejected, because his jetpack was not working properly. And seeing all his hard work wasted, Frank was very disappointed. And now Frank comes out of that place in sadness, where he meets a girl named Athena. She gives Frank a label pin with AT written on it, and asks him to follow her. And now he follows Athena and takes a water ride. And this water ride takes him to a tunnel, where his badge is scanned and then he is taken to a lift. But here we know that this is not a lift but a teleport machine. That is a machine that takes anything from one place to another without any trouble. And here this teleport machine takes Frank to Tomorrowland. In Tomorrowland, Frank was stunned to see everything, because everything here was high-tech. Frank thought this was a different world, and now he was noticing all those things that a robot takes his jetpack. Frank gets scared to see those guards, and he is running away from them, that he falls from a bridge. But Frank's jetpack saves him from falling on the ground. And here Frank realized that his jetpack was completely fixed, and now he was working. At this moment, he meets Athena again on this land, and Athena tells Frank about this land, and she tells him that this land is called Tomorrowland. Now Frank started living in this land with Athena, and he was having a lot of fun here. He does a lot of inventions in Tomorrowland, and now we are shown in the movie that many years have passed. And now we see a girl on Earth again whose name is Casey. Casey's father is an engineer at NASA, and Casey deliberately spoils some program of NASA, so that NASA needs his father to fix it, and so his father's job remained. But this time while doing this work, someone sees Casey, and that's why Casey is now arrested. And in the next scene we see that when Casey is released, so now in his luggage there was exactly the same label pin as Frank had. That is, the same label pin as Athena gave to Frank. As soon as Casey touches that label pin, she suddenly teleports to Tomorrowland. Now Casey also reached Tomorrowland and was very surprised to see everything, because he had not seen such advanced things anywhere before today. Here everything was completely different and advanced. Casey was having a lot of fun seeing all these things. Now Casey is watching this land that suddenly the countdown starts on his badge, which meant that the battery of that badge is getting low. And now with the 0 of the countdown, Casey teleports back to Earth. Casey was very confused with everything that was going on with him. He was not at all understanding what actually happened to him. He did not even know what that place was. Was it a magical land? All this was very confusing for Casey. Casey gets that badge and then goes to that land and suddenly comes back to his house. And now Casey wanted to clear his confusion. And that's why now she meets her brother and does research on this badge. And now after doing research, she gets the address of a shop. Casey quickly goes to this shop, and goes to that shop and shows that badge to the shopkeepers that she got from her belongings. Here the shopkeepers were very surprised to see that badge. And now those shopkeepers investigate this badge with Casey in anger. But Casey did not know anything about that badge, because he got that badge from his belongings. And now when Casey does not have any answer to give him, so they start shooting Casey with their fire guns. Casey is trying very hard to save herself. And now Athena enters this shop. And now Athena fights very well with these two shopkeepers, and kills one of the shopkeepers. Or we can say that she breaks one of the shopkeepers. Because by killing one of Athena's shopkeepers, we came to know that both the shopkeepers are robots. Now Athena and Casey were trying to get out of this shop quickly. But here another robot blasts itself, and that shop burns. But Athena and Casey succeed in getting out of there. After this, we see that Athena drops Casey to Frank's house and leaves. Frank forbids Casey to come to his house. But then Casey somehow enters Frank's house. And Casey is very impressed by seeing a lot of advanced things in Frank's house. Now Casey goes to a room where a lot of screens were playing something. Views of the future and past were being shown on those screens. Casey was very confused after seeing all this. But here we know that Frank had made an invention because of which he could see the past and future. And now Casey is seeing all those things that Frank comes here again. And Frank tells him to go out of his house. But Casey tells him that I will not go from here until you take me to Tomorrowland. And now Frank advises him to stay away from Tomorrowland. But now Casey insists Frank that I have to go to Tomorrowland. Casey realized that Frank is from Tomorrowland after seeing so many advanced things in Frank's house. And now she asks Frank why he was taken out of Tomorrowland. And in response to this, Frank tells him that I had made a machine to see the future. And that's why I was taken out of Tomorrowland. Now Casey sees a screen where the world was being destroyed. And now Frank tells him that all this is true and this Earth is going to be destroyed. But Casey doesn't believe him at all. He says that this can't happen at all. And Casey's belief brings a miracle. And the time of Earth's destruction on this screen increases. That is, the life of the Earth increases and this destruction goes away a little. All this was very surprising for Frank. But with all this, Frank understood that what we believe in, that's what happens. And because Casey's belief was that nothing was going to happen to the Earth, that's why the destruction of the Earth was reduced. Now Frank and Casey are talking together that some robots come there to attack Casey. Frank saves Casey from those robots and puts him in a bathtub. And before the robot kills Casey here, Frank quickly flies the tub like a rocket and takes it from there. And as soon as they fly from here, Frank's house burns down. And all those robots die. Now that tub had brought them to a river. But this river was not of Tomorrowland, but of Earth. And near this river, in the jungle, they also get Athena. But now we know that Frank is angry with Athena. Because Athena hid her truth from him. And she never told Frank in his childhood that she is not a human being, but a robot. But now that Frank was in danger of Earth and he used to take Casey to Tomorrowland at any cost, that's why now he has to talk to Athena. And now the three of them reach the Eiffel Tower with the help of a teleportation device. And on reaching this Eiffel Tower, Frank tells Casey that very big scientists had made a land together. And that land was a futuristic land. And Frank tells Casey that the purpose of those scientists to make this land was that they could invent anything on this land. No one was going to stop them from their invention. And he tells that these scientists had named that land Tomorrowland. And here Frank also tells Casey that this Eiffel Tower was not made for the beauty of this city. In fact, it is an antenna that catches frequency from Tomorrowland. That is, the messages of Tomorrowland help to bring this Earth. He tells that Tomorrowland is in the exact opposite dimension of this Eiffel Tower. Now Frank also tells Casey that there is a rocket under this Eiffel Tower that used to take those scientists to Tomorrowland. And the name of this rocket was Spectacle by those scientists. And after this, we see that the three of them sit together in that spectacle. And as soon as Frank starts that rocket, we see that the Eiffel Tower is divided into two parts, which is very surprising to see all the people from the outside. After this, in the next scene, we see all three of them in Tomorrowland. And here in Tomorrowland, the governor of Tomorrowland meets the three of them. Here Frank tells the governor that the machine that I made to make the future shown in it also changes. But the governor does not believe in this at all. And he did not want to listen to Frank about this. But Frank agrees to listen to him with great difficulty. And now he takes Casey to the machine that shows his future. Because Casey was also very intelligent, so he did not have much trouble controlling that machine. And now Casey looks at his future home in that machine. And it was shown in this machine that Casey's house is being destroyed. But Casey could not believe this at all. Casey looks at it and says that this cannot happen. And as soon as he sees it, the future really changes there. And in the future, Casey's house becomes exactly the same as it was today. That is, the destruction on Earth in the future had stopped. Even after seeing all this with his own eyes, the governor did not believe Frank's words. And now the governor tells Frank that the climate on Earth is getting worse day by day. And the people of Earth do not realize this at all. And he says that Earth will end within 2 months. And after saying this, the governor puts those three, Casey, Athena, and Frank in jail. And Athena, sitting in jail, solves the mystery of this whole situation. She says that Frank's machine really shows the future. But she says that in the future, what we believe in happens. And now she says that the messages of this machine made by Frank are somehow going to Earth. And now the people of Earth have believed that Earth will be destroyed. And Casey's solution to this tells that if we stop negative messages from going to Earth, then humans will start thinking positively and their positive thoughts will definitely change the future. And now Casey and Frank go and tell all this to the governor. But the governor does not listen to them. And he says that the reason for sending all these messages to Earth was that the people of Earth should do something for their planet. And some answer to this is that they are not doing this because they have negative thoughts in their mind. And those people have believed that Earth will be destroyed. But now the governor was not interested in their words. And he tells his people to leave these three on Earth. And now going back to Earth, Frank now shakes hands with the governor. Frank's reason for shaking hands was not just greeting. In fact, he wanted to press the buttons of the watch on the governor's hand, which would make a door to Earth. And Frank's reason for doing this was that he would come to Earth with the governor. And from behind, Athena and Casey would destroy that machine, which would tell about the future. Here Athena gives a bomb to Casey. But by mistake, Casey drops the bomb on the side of Earth. To save him, the governor and Frank come back to Tomorrowland. And now their fight is in Tomorrowland. Here when the governor and Frank were fighting, Athena sees in the future machine that the governor is going to shoot Frank. And she quickly comes in front of Frank, because of which Frank is saved from that bullet. And that bullet hits Athena. And because of this bullet, Athena's operating system is completely destroyed. On the other hand, we see that a heavy metal door falls on the governor. And now Casey goes to the governor and snatches his gun from him. Here on the other hand, we see Frank and Athena again. And here the dying robot Athena tells Frank to turn on my destructive button. And take me to that machine. And now Frank turns on the jetpack he made in his childhood to do this. And Frank takes Athena to that machine that shows the future. And here along with that robot, that time-telling machine also ends. And that machine comes down and falls on the governor. Because of which the governor also ends. After this, we see in the mid-credit scene of the movie that Casey goes back to Earth to meet her family. And here we know that because Casey's brother and father were both engineers. That's why they also get permission to come to Tomorrowland. And now in the last scene of the movie, we see that Frank and Casey are the governors of this Tomorrowland. They bring a lot of people from Earth to Tomorrowland who had talent. Who wanted to make something new. Who wanted to invent something. And here we see that now that time has also passed. At the time when Earth was to be destroyed. But Earth was not destroyed. Just because now people had believed that Earth would not be destroyed. But showing all this, this movie ends. Subscribe Dodo Movie Explained for such kid of movie.